is the first button. So this started because we have an unusual surname. My surname's Bullivant, and sometimes I'll go to eBay and I'll type in Bullivant just to see if there's, I don't know, a little old collectible or an antique or something relating to the family that pops up. Sometimes there is. And this one time I was on there and the button came up and it had a crest on it and it was called a Livery Button. And on the back of the button it said the manufacturers were Bullivants. So I thought, well, I'll get that, that's really cool. Someone in our family years ago has made this button and had a button manufacturers. And it turns out they were a factory in Birmingham, and the Bullivant family had this button manufacturers in Birmingham where they made all kinds of stuff. One of them, there was these livery buttons, and I will find the one for you. I'd never heard of livery buttons before, I didn't know what they were. Here we are. So this one is the first button I got. Now on the front is a crest, and it's a family crest, and these buttons had family crests put on them and were worn on the livery outfits. I don't know who the family of this is. It looks like a wild boar on a wire or a cushion. But on the back, so this isn't a Bullivant crest, it's some families, but on the back it tells you the manufacturers. I'll put photos in the post about this. So this was really cool, and I thought, well, they're quite nice things, you know, these are really pretty things, a good thing to collect. So a couple of years later, on my daughter Charlotte's birthday in July, she wanted to go to Ickworth House, which is in Bury St Edmunds. She likes nice old houses, and we walked around there and had great fun, and we discovered they had a area of the garden called the Stumpery, which literally had tree stumps, and that was really cool and very funny. And we're going to have our own stumpery here because I have a cherry tree that was cut off and there's a small stump left, and I've always been wondering what to do with it, whether to try and get it out the ground by the roots, but no, we're going to have a stumpery, and we should put other tree stumps in there and put little fairies and gnomes in. Anyway, on the way home we decided to come back via Haverhill, so you can go from Bury St Edmunds to Haverhill, and on the way there's a little village called Keddington. Really pretty, really nice small village. In our family tree, on my dad's side, his mum was a Binks and her parents were Bowyers, and the Bower family all came from Keddington, the Binks and the Bowers, and they lived there for a couple of hundred years, several hundred years, as families did way back then. They didn't really go very far around. And Keddington is really pretty, and the church is amazing. When you go inside the church, you open the doors and the colour hits you, because there are all these beautiful pews and there's still paint work all on the walls and on the pews. It just looks really pretty, and in fact in the guidebook, I think it's called St Paul's and St Peter's, but again I'll put a link in the comments. But they call it Little Westminster because it's that impressive. I mean, it just looks like a regular village church from the outside, but it's really cool. And in the graveyard we walked around and we took lots of photographs of the graves of potential old relatives that will add to ancestry or to find out who they are. And as we were doing so, we came to one grave and we couldn't really read the writing on the grave. But right by the headstone we found this. Now this, as I know now, is a livery button, and it was in the soil just at the top, just lying there. And it is an eagle on a kind of shooting star looking thing, again on a wire or cushion. Oh, excuse my nails, Charlotte painted them for Mother's Day. So anyway, this one isn't made by Bullivants, but it's made by a company called Furman and Sons. So what we did is we picked it up and we kind of said to the grave, you know what, we're going to borrow this, we're going to take it home, research it, and then we'll bring it back and we'll just put it back in the soil where we found it. So we've had it, and it's been knocking around for a couple of years because we've just had no time and life's taken over. So in this clear out we've now discovered it again. And in the ensuing time, because then I thought, well, these are cool little things, I thought I'd go on eBay and I bought a whole set of livery buttons because I thought they're just such nice things and they're so interesting and such a lot of potential for research. So here's my other set, and they're made by various companies including the Bullivants and Furman, who seem to be the main manufacturers, all for different families. I mean, that's hours of research there, finding out who they all belong to. So what has happened is it is stuck in and Charlotte's bored, and so I said to her, "I tell you what, that's that button, do you remember that?" She said, "Oh yeah, I'm going to find out who it is and who it belongs to." I said, "Tell you what, if you can find out who the family is," it's nothing like bribing your kids, "find out who the family is and I'll give you 20 quid. And that'll be like a prize and a drive to find out." Anyway, that kept her busy for an entire day, and to my surprise she did really well. She actually looked up Furman & Sons. It turns out they're a company that's been going for years and years and years, and they have a website and they're based in London, and they're still manufacturing all this kind of stuff. So she actually took it upon herself, wrote to them, and a guy got back in touch with her and said, "Send me some pictures and we'll see what we can do." This is all in the last couple of days, and he's written back to her, and through one way or another she's actually found out that 20 quid down, that it is the Barker family. This is the Barker family crest. So I'll put pictures again in the blog about this. So what we've done now is challenge Charlotte to write up an article, and in the article I want her to describe the tale, something like what I've told you, but then also to research even further, because Furman, who are the company that's still going and their office is in London, still have a factory in Birmingham where they use traditional methods to produce all these items. So I thought, well, actually, you know what, if you write up an article about this, we'll find out more about the Barker family, see if that person's grave is any relative of ours. It's not the Binks or the Boas, but maybe we're related to Barkers. Maybe it's from that grave itself. I think it would be very hard to push up all that way down and through worm action and get the button to the top. So it's probably an incidental find, somebody standing at the graveside or going for a walk through the churchyard. But we want to find out more about the Barker family. And another question that's come up is actually more about the bullivant manufacturing industry in Birmingham. Are Furman and Bullivant, are the two companies related? Did they one take over from the other? Were there lots of these companies? All kinds of questions have come up and all kinds of cool research from one button. This is the kind of thing that can happen. You always end up with more questions than answers. So Charlotte's going to research all of this, and she's going to write up an article about it all and a bit more on Livery Buttons. So it's going to keep her really busy over the next few days. And the cool thing is about doing this kind of thing is you end up being able to have good adventures when you're not in lockdown, obviously. But one of the things we're going to plan to do when this is all over, providing everyone survives this and the companies are all still going, we'll go for a road trip and we'll go to Birmingham and we'll try to find the site of where the bullivant factory was and find out more about that. And we'll go visit Furman's and we're going to get in touch with them and see if we can have a tour around their factory, and then we'll do another blog all about how they're working and showing their traditional methods, because that's something I'm really keen on looking at. So that's a really cool thing. So in the blog that I'll post about this, or the comments about this, I'll put the pictures of the buttons so you can see them more clearly, and I will add the picture of the grave, so that's there too, and you can have a look and see if you can read anything off of it. But it's just a nice thing, so it just shows you from one little object you can have all this research. This is a shout out too to my buddies on Detectress the series Facebook group, because as they'll know and tell you, Terry did a talk on buttons and everyone thought it was rather boring, but actually buttons are cool and interesting. These things can be cool. If you've never watched Detectress, it's a perfect thing to watch while you're shut in, because it's a nice, feel-good, gentle, funny comedy, so well worth a look. So I'll leave you with that, and the next thing I'm going to bring up is this book, my next little video for you, which is another cool one of these objects that has more questions and answers and lots to discover within it. Okay.